So welcome everyone to the session, Pragmatic Productivity Hacks with PowerShell. And thank you everyone for waking up early to attend this session. I think you're already halfway there because you want to learn about productivity. So you wake up early, so thank you for that. And before dive into the session, a little bit like appreciation to our sponsors, because without them, we don't have that great experience so far. And then a little bit about myself. So currently, I'm a lead data consultant at Devoteam. It's a technology consulting firm. And I have more than 12 years of working experience in analytics, data science, and data management in Asia and Europe. So my background is a little bit different. So it's not like most of you, I believe, come from system admin or core infra. So today, because of my background, I also bring a little bit a different perspective when it comes to PowerShell and productivity. So I have featured article on United States Cybersecurity magazine and a magazine in Vietnam. Because based on my own experience, I try about my experience how to tackle, for example, security and fraud from the data science perspective or from the project that I did in the past. And apart from that, I also occasionally writing some article regarding to analytics in my blog post. Feel free to connect with me through LinkedIn. Yes. Sorry. Currently, I'm living in Amsterdam. And the agenda today have three main parts. First is about email automations, and then the second one is calendar automation, and then the last one is summaries and Q&A. So just like the indication of time is around 15 minutes of each session, and it will include two parts. The first is productivity hacks. The second one is how to do it through PowerShell. So, So before the session, I just want to ask, there's only one rule in this session, is that please be honest with me in your answer. Okay. So first of all, if we want to automate the email, we often ask first, before we automate anything, we ask why we need to do it. So what's the reason? So according to a research by McKinsey, an average professional spends 28% of his or her time on answering and reading the email. It's about, if you transfer it into the working hour per day, it's about 2.24 hours per day. And if this number is like nothing to you, if you convert it to the years, it will be 1/3 of the years. It's like excluding holidays. And then if you convert it into your whole career life, it could be can be somewhere about 1/3 of your life. So just reading and reviewing, answering the email depend on how up you are in the organization, how high you are. So and then before automating the email, we want to know, so what is the purpose of the emails? Because we want to train PowerShell as our personal assistant. So we need to know the purpose of the email and then how to get there, so we can train PowerShell accordingly. So, I will ask some of you. So, why do you try email? Yeah.
Email my customers with dates, and otherwise I try to steer clear.
I see.
I mostly receive email that I have.
I see.
Something that I would like to automate.
And then you receive the email from the customer, and then you want to communicate back to them.
Yeah.
I see. And how about you?
Me, it's mostly requests coming to me for
Mm-hmm.
things I need to do,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very time consuming.
I see.
I want to get rid of that.
I see. So any other reason that you want to? I mean, you receive the email and you read the email, answering to the email. What's the purpose of that? Yeah.
Really, communication that needs to be preserved in some way,
Mm-hmm.
because teams might be, you might lose the context or whatever you were writing.
I see.
And you can change it afterwards.
I see. So if I hear you all correctly, it's either to like involve some certain people, involve some certain documentation there. So it's like to increase the visibility, to make some confirmation, send it to the customers, or so to get involvement, involve someone, or yeah. So for some of you, it can be like just sending out to the whole organization some test whether someone fall into this. But so far, I don't see you're honest with me enough, because just like some of you, sometimes I also use email as the procrastination. Like sometimes it's like you stuck into a project, and then you also don't want to surf the internet. So that's why you like sometimes for me, I just like read the email to see, it's like just to pass the time. So for all of that, if I hear you correctly, the purpose of the email is to communicate effectively, to make the impact. So that's the whole purpose of the email. And now, how to reach there? So in my views, there are three key main points in order to achieve communicating effectively through the email. First, we need to have clear structure and purpose. And second, if the email that we receive is not clear enough, then we can request the action from the person, the sender, that need to clarify it. And third, it needs to have some human touch. Like, especially if we are living in the AI era, so we want to make sure that like people communicate with each other. So now it's come to the part that we will use PowerShell as our personal assistant. Not yes. So today the first productivity hacks is that classifying upcoming email. So normally, we will, like how I do normally is that I classify it also with the item as words into, according to two categories, like urgent and important. So it depends. So if it's urgent and important, then I do it immediately. And if important but not urgent, I will snooze reading the email later. So it depends, the threshold it totally depends on each of you. And then if it's not important, but it's urgent, then if I have the chance, I can delegate to other person to do it. And if it's not urgent and not important, then why we need to bother? We can like just stack it and then read it when it's convenient to us. So before automating, this is the structure of a good email. In my opinion, so for example, in the subject, we have some kind of indicator whether it's urgent or important. And then we have category where we tag into what kind of project is that. And there also a feature in Outlook is that we indicate that it's important. And a body, we indicate that what do we need the sender to do, the action request. And also our name, for example. So because I also came from the security background, so all of my demonstration, the email I show here, I do it from a new inbox and calendar, because this session will be also public. So I want to also keep some personal information. So productivity hack number 2 is when it comes to replying to the email. For example, we want to show that there is solution. So what is the impact of the solution, and why do we propose that solution, for example? So if we have clear purpose and structure, we have action requests, like I'm happy to discuss further, for example. And the third one is happy. I mean that in this case, the minimal things is the human touch. It's like happy. And now this is the demo time. Before doing a demo, do you have any questions? Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. Sorry. How about now? Oh, okay. then I just remove it then. Thank you. Yeah. So this is the code. How many of you attained the Microsoft Graph API? It's like, thank you. Yeah. And how many of you already know Microsoft Graph API? Okay. Thank you. So so first we need to import the models here, and then I push the row disconnect MG graph in order to demonstrate you how to connect back. And you need to grant certain access level if you want to reply to the email, read the email, or send the email. And here oh, yes, sorry. How to make it bigger? Control plus? This is also different desktop. Yeah. Yeah, so the green color is some of my comments. For example, before writing any code, I normally write, for example, what I want to do, the purpose, just to clear for myself, to be clear for the purpose of the code. And then I also put the comments in each line of the code. So when I come back, then I don't need to waste time on thinking what I did before. So here the user ID, I need to call it from Microsoft Graph API. So you use the info mg graph request. And then after that, so this is to deal with the inbox or upcoming email. So I put the parameter inbox at inbox, and then get the ID of the inbox folder. You can use this. And then after that, I want to create the categories. So here, the tip is that I create the category based on the projects rather than based on the topics. The reason behind is that if you base on the topics, then next time you involve in a project with multiple topics, then you need to spend a lot of time to search for different topic. But if you group the information according to the project, then when you finish the project, it's done, and it have all the information that you need in the project. Because at the end of the day, you need the information to serve a certain purpose. So I put category and the color that I want, and the folder here that I put according to the action, what I want to do with it. For example, in this case, whether it's immediate action, snooze for 1 hour, or end of the day, or just for other meaning that, like, maybe I don't care, for example. Like maybe it's like some spam email, for example. And here there are two methods in order to create the categories. If first method is like you don't care so much about the color, it's like whatever the color assigned to me, I'm okay with that. And the second method is that you assign the color for each of the category. So here the Microsoft Graph API, you can use also, for example, new MC user Outlook master category. Yeah, so basically that is how you play around with the category. And the second step is create the inbox folder. You also use, so you change to a different, is new MC user mail folder. And then here, you can create the folder accordingly. So I just do, for example, I already import and connect to Microsoft Graph. User ID, I believe I already run, but just for the purpose of demonstration. Yeah. Here, create category. I already created before the session. So maybe it could pop up some errors like the folder already exists later. So here, if I assign the color, because I care so much about the color, for example, see, it's already is it. So it's just normal error. For example, if I open the Outlook later, you will see the folder there. And then the third step is define the priorities and snooze duration. So for example, here I will assign in each of the folder what's the name, so and then how much time that I want to snooze. And I get the email, I will get MG user message in order to get the incoming email. For example, I put here top 100 to limit. And now here is come to the part, create the rules. Yeah, just ignore the green part because it's just common. So here is create a rule. I create a parameter rule where, for example, I take example of the immediate action. It means that it's come from the category, whether the subjects or the body of the email contain urgent, immediate action, or urgency, or the sender contain, for example, my boss name email. Then something that I need to reply or have a look immediately, for example. So I define the rule. So whether either it come from this person or or someone saying that have the recipient is like sent to my boss, for example, escalation, for example, or the body including those keywords, then or the importances they mark it high. Then I want to take the action. I want to have a look at it. I want to, for example, you can forward to anyone. In my example, maybe I just want to include my boss as well, for example. And I move it to the immediate action folder so I can have a look. For example, I automate my calendar to have a look every, for example, 1 hour later. And then here, after I define the parameter, then I will run this code in order to make sure that the rule is created. Email, yep. Oh, yeah. I thought I will run it. A. Yep. So and after that you can run this piece of code, and here the parameter content, which is the body of it, like the action email, for example. I gave the example earlier. Then you can push like just the template, so you can fill in the template after that in your email. So I run before this morning, so I can open to demonstrate it, like the email here. So here, for example, you can get any of the, so I don't have any snooze for 1 hour, but I have immediate action, for example, here, also the same email that I put in the slide. So for now, any incoming email, it will automatically group into the folder according to the action and the rule that you define. In the concept of time, then I just skip it. If they later their time, then I will come back as well. And here also the draft reply email message that I showed you earlier. I can, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so snooze for 1 hour in this step is only the name of the folder. So there's no rule behind it yet. So you just like, for example, it just put into that folder. So there's no action yet. It's just like for you, it's like every 1 hour you go there, you see? So, and then for your question, we'll go to the calendar automation later. Yeah, so now it's come to the calendar automation. Yeah, so the technique here, so previously we use Outlook.com objects, but the downside of this method is that we need to install it into the machine, and we need to, when we want to run the script, we need to log in, and indeed this method already stopped supported by Microsoft since 2013. So now it's the new methods using Microsoft Graph API. Yeah, so you need API permission earlier, Graph Explorer for you to see what the API return. And now we come to the second part, which is the calendar automation. So the same question we asked when we want to automate email is again, so according to sorry for if there is any German here. According to Einstein, yeah, I tried to pronounce it. So intelligence is not the ability to store the information, but to know where to find it. So then, what does it mean? Sorry, I forgot. So it helps a lot for us when it comes to productivity hacks. So the hack number 3, when it comes to storing information. So this is the messy room, and this is the tidy and neat room. According to Einstein and other professional, when it comes to storing the information, you should store the information where we use it rather than where we store it or organize it. So back to the example, the code I showed earlier, I store the information in the project rather than by topic. So it will help us a lot when we try to find information. Just like when you try to organize your house. It's like normally if you want to store based on, for example, the items, it will take you longer time just to find it when you want to use it. It's like I can prove, for example, you have a lot of spices in your house, for example, and how many spices you use or how many spices it's like for months later you look at it and then you see, oh, it's already expired. So that's also one of the example. So when it comes to calendar automations, and how do we store the information where we use it? For example, I just take some conference, like the G Cloud conference that I attended last week. So here for the meeting, when I attend a conference, like pre-conference research, I want to have a look about what is Vertex AI, and then some set up out of the office, because I will be out of the office for one day to attend the conference, for example. So this is how I want to add note. And then during the conference, I also like some of the notes, some of the information that pop up, I want to insert into it. Then how I do it, I also do it through the calendar. Here, look at what I do is that I put all the information of the conference into the calendar. So I don't need to open the notes on my iPhone and then put the note there. And then I forgot later that I want to look back. I just I store all of the related information into one. So when I want to have some information, I just look up that keyword and then it appear all related information. And then for this one, I just invited 3 people for the 2 minutes game, and with rewards, of course. So it's very fast. It's 2 minutes and very easy. Who want to play the game with the rewards later? I refer to diversify a bit in this session. Yeah, sure. Thanks. And then one more, maybe in this. Yeah. Sorry, the pen here. Okay, the purpose. So the goal for you to win is that, so in each of the paper you have 2 columns. The first column, I want you to write the normal number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 15. And the second column, I want you to try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 15, but in Romance number. So, okay, so whoever finished first, Mike, stop, Mike. Whoever is sorry. Yeah, I haven't said start yet. So whoever finished first, then raise your hand, quick. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Yeah. You have to write like by column by column. Column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by normal number, and then the other column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Romance number. Whoever finished first. Yeah, we can have a quick look. Yeah, great. So what's your name? Alexander?
Alex is fine.
Okay. Yeah, correct. So, yeah. Reward later. It's come from Amsterdam. Okay. So now turn the paper around. So every candidate turn the paper around, and I want you to do one last thing. You do the same thing, but now you draw it by row instead of by column. So 1, and then 1 in Romance, and then switch to 2, and then 2 in Romance by row. 1, 2, 3, go. Let's see. Took more time, right? Yeah, you again. Yeah, so certainly you will receive 2 gifts from Amsterdam. Yeah, so it's like I pick up my phone just to do a fake timing because I forgot to do the timing things. But like I think the audience also feel that the second approach way longer. So that's it, context switching. So you don't want to do it like you are doing something and there's a meeting coming, and then you have to attend a meeting, and then you have to go back and then think, okay, where the role of the code? So what does it mean? Like, you have to go everything again. So that's the idea of the game. So context switching can hinder the productivity. So how do you want to prevent this? So there's a survey. It says that 2 out of 3 employees complain that spending too much time in a meeting hindered them from being productive at work. So it's data science. It's science, research. And then more than 35% of them complaining of fact that they spend 2 or 5 hours per day attending the meeting, but they don't know what to do with it. Like, there's no concrete result after that. So that's why when it's come to productivity number 5, that's when it's come to, in order to have an effective meeting, we need to clarify in our email invitation or calendar sent invitation 5 things. First, why do we want to have this meeting and who we want to involve in? And like the people we want to involve need to add the value to the meeting. If they don't add the value, why we have to invite them to waste time about? And then the product, meaning that, so what's the item that we discussed about? The process, mean here in this case is the agenda. And preparation. In order to achieve a successful meeting, what do we want them to prepare? Do we want them to read some documentation first before coming to the meeting, or what do we want them to do? And for example, here is an example of invitation, calendar invitation that follow that rule. For example, here we have purpose, agenda, and the outcome that we expect is come out of the meeting and any preparation that we want them to repair. And here, the last sentence, feel free to extend this invitation to whom you think beneficial to the discussion. Because maybe when the time that we send out the invitation, we don't know that like who else also beneficial to the discussion. Okay, so according to also Harvard Business Review, they also call it, they do a survey with filtered, and they also classify the range of the productivity hacks. So the top 3 is that the time boxings, prioritize, and say no. And then we also want to bring it into our calendar automation later. So my point here is that just use the calendar automation, the calendar as your second branch, because you cannot hold on the information, but rather use the calendar to store the information for you. And now it's time for the demo. Yeah. So the calendar here, for example, the calendar name you can put is like you can create multiple calendar names, calendar group into your calendar. For example, you have the calendar name for marketing, finance, or you have personal appointment, you visit a dentist, for example, or you have a number of team members in your team and you don't want to forget their birthday. So here I do a loop for each of the calendar name in the calendar group. I will create a name. So calendar name here, marketing, finance, training. And then after that, I want to get the calendar ID. I filter out, for example, in this case, I filter out only the personal appointment. Just in case that you use like one calendar for different purpose, both for work and personal appointment, but the calendar name is totally depend on how you define it. And here I want to call the day variable, and I will review the mail. For example, here I create a rule. I want to check the important messages, and I create a rule that like how do I want to check the important message at what time. And I send to myself, for example, in this case, but you can also skip this part if you don't want to send to yourself. And you create a new calendar event. And then when it's come to attack the nodes, so here, for example, if you attend a PowerShell conference, and then you create a new node first, I will demonstrate it. Here I create a function new node. And then the parameter, mandatory for some reason that you will see later. And then you filter here. For example, I only want to filter, okay, if it's a PowerShell conference, then I will add some note here. So here, the advance here that you don't need to, if you do it manually, the process manually is that you open your calendar, you need to find specific date. Like, okay, I need to go back into June in order to find the PowerShell conference. So you need to remember which day is that. But here, the advantage of using PowerShell in order to automate is that you only need to put, for example, in this case, PowerShell conference. You don't need to remember the day. It will search for you. And then you input the content. And then after that, okay, then what if I want to add additional node? Will it replay my previous node? The answer is no. If you put it with this code, it will append together. So I think that it's time for me to run the code to show you how it works. Sorry. And here I already created it before, so probably it say already is it, so it's normal. And now get the calendar ID. For example, now I wanted to add into my personal appointment. I call the date, and then I go back and then review email, for example. Yeah. So for example, now I want to add the note. I just run all of them first, and then I will demonstrate to you. A. Okay, so now I want to add new note. Sorry. New note. So now it asks, okay, so which event you want me to add the new note? I want to add PowerShell conference. I want to go back to here, make sure that in my calendar is, okay, PSConfEU. PSConfEU. Okay, so what it contain? So contain, for example, I want to what? Yeah, presenting, because he everywhere. Okay, then going back to the calendar, I probably already added, solved the notes before because I did the test first, of course. Okay, so here you can see that I have watched, yeah, presenting. Okay, and now I want to add another note, add note. Okay, filter, again, same thing. It's Conf EU. Now I want to add another note, which note? Remember to research about new PowerShell language. If you attend the session yesterday from Bruce, PowerShell. Okay, then I need to open the calendar to see whether it's worked. Yeah, so here you can see that I also add the note here. So it's also come to almost the end of the presentation, but here I also show some limitation here. So for example, when you see here, the way that I set up is that it will be in one row. It's not like enter into the new line, right? So I can overcome this with several methods. For example, here I can put like the comma before, or I can like use end enter into the new line. But that is to demonstrate you to like how it works. Yeah. So it's come to the end. Its summary is that like through the presentation, I show you like 5 different productivity hacks and how to automate it through email automation and calendar automation using PowerShell and Microsoft Graph API. Thank you. Yeah. So now it's time for some questions, Q&A. Yes.
I have one question. Yeah. I'm also using a lot the categories within Outlook, and especially in Outlook on the web, there's the possibility to add the categories as favorites. And once you click on the favorite, I can see in the address bar that there's a specific URL, and the inbox is directly filtered to that category only. I always trying and have not achieved yet to generate that URL. So like using Graph API, I can retrieve a list of all the categories available, and I should be able to use the ID of the category for that URL, but unfortunately it seems not to work. You have a solution for that?
So the question is that you use the URL from Microsoft Graph API for category, and it doesn't work. And what's the solution for that? Or can you elaborate it?
I'll try to explain a little bit more. For Outlook on the web, you can have a URL with the ID of a category
Yeah.
to directly filter the view to that category.
Mm-hmm.
But if you generate that URL from some kind of automation, this URL does not resolve as expected. At
Okay.
least for me, maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Okay. So I haven't encountered that, so I cannot sorry. The question is, yeah, the question is that you have some problem when you deal with the URL from the Outlook calendar. Email. So unfortunately, I haven't encountered that. So, but then if you we can have some conversation later. You show some kind of error. We can work together to see how it's work. Because on top of my head, I cannot say because I never encountered that.
That's fine. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It should be possible to reproduce this if you encounter it and show M how to do it.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
So I have a question. How are you running this script? Because it looks like you have a script to automate all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess you have to run it on schedule or something like that. So how are you actually making it work for you rather than you working for it?
I see. So so here when I only run it. So here the question is, how do I run the script? Right? So here when I show you the email, every time I send the email, they will automatically classify into a different category. And then the question here, so I think that is good enough for me when it's because I only need to run one time. Then every time any new email coming is automatically classified into different folder for me. So I just need to go to that folder, snooze 1 hour, 2 hour to check. And also same with the calendar.
This whole logic is basically in the Outlook itself or like the graph itself. You don't have to run the script. You can make it so it actually just has all
Yeah.
and all the like Outlook tools are being applied to make that happen, right?
So the question is whether the problem that you concern already tackled by within the Microsoft API. So in my opinion, as I use it, I think that it look like it because I don't need to rerun for every time. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, if there is no other questions, then I will give you 2 gifts later. Yeah. And thank you for attending the session. I have the second one this afternoon about architecture. And it's also a mini workshop. If you would like to join, you're welcome. Thank you.